Good day, YouTube. Back with another video here. And as you can see, we have two fenders on the stand here that are for a 2020 Chevy Traverse project that I'm working on. Now, other than just the body work, this car had other damages like suspension and also motor damage, which I had to attend to. But I just thought I'd take you along for the ride for the fenders that I'm working on here. Now, as you can see, these two fenders, they already came primered with a black primer. The surface is kind of on the smooth side, so I thought I'd give it a light scuff, not a complete sand down, because I don't want to remove the primer that is already surfaced over the fender, which I believe is a good surface protector, and I'll give it a good scuff for adhesion purposes, which will allow the paint to stick a little better on the panel surface here. I want to give it a good scratch to where I'm scratching the surface but not removing from the surface as sandpaper would do. So we'll scuff this whole panel here so that all of the areas are covered. And this is just for the outside surfaces that I'm covering, since this is the side that will present itself. But on the inner portion, I did give it a good cleaning with a degreaser and also did pass a light coat of the paint just for corrosion purposes. Always make sure that your area that you're working in is safe, and also the panels that you're working on are in a position to where you have comfortable reach to do their job in a good, safe, comfortable manner. As you can see here, I wanted them elevated. That way, when I'm painting, I'm not dispositioning myself to where it's uncomfortable. So you want to make sure that you have a good work area which is safe and comfortable for you. Now in this portion, rather than to wash it down with just a bottle of water, I thought it would be better to use the glass cleaner, since it does a better job in removing just the dirty surfaces, I come to find, and also washing the panel with pure water. If there's areas on that panel where the primer might have been scratched off, what I come to see, the more you let it sit, the easier it corrodes with rust. But that won't be the case here, because after we pass this glass cleaner, we're actually moving on to the more washing and also degreasing, and tack it a little, and then we'll throw our paint on there. But just a light surface clean of glass cleaner, and you want to make sure that you cover all surfaces till it's completely dry. And after each process here, I blew everything down with my air compressor to make sure that no added debris was on the panel, seeing to it that my preparation phase is completely covered to where I would have no issues later on, because this is one of the important stages that we want to focus on. So I'll give it a good spray down with the degreaser here. Now, after the scuffing and also cleaning of the panel, we want to make sure that we degrease everything. This adds that extra measure of tackiness without even going through the panel with a tack rag here. The degreaser that I'm using, it pretty much deletes all of the added chemicals which we surfaced our panel with, so that it's not only clean, but it gives it a good tacky surface for that paint to stick. Always make sure that you are using a microfiber towel that is lint free. But if you're not, and you do see that it's putting lint on your surface, make sure that you give the whole panel a good air down so that all of those linty areas are completely free of your surface, because you would hate the paint and then over your paint it's showing areas of lint because that only interferes with the quality of your work here. Now I like to degrease my panels, I'd say twice. The second time is just for added measure, seeing to it that the whole surface is completely covered and degreased. Now the cleaner and tackier we can get this surface, that only promotes the adhesion process. Now, just for added measure, a tack rag is not really necessary in this stage. But since I have it laying around and I have some time, I just thought I'd give it a light pass through of a tack rag. And the tack rag that I'm actually using here, it's real sticky. It actually passes through the panel real easy, but it has sort of a stickiness to where it's real tacky, and it removes any added lint or areas that I might not have gotten correctly or missed. Now I never use a tack rag twice. After I'm done with one project which I'm working on in a session, I never move on to another job with the same tack rag, only because when it's laying around, that's only making time for dust or any type of debris to collect over that rag. So when I'm starting a new job, I like to start off fresh with everything new and clean. Also, my microfiber towels, I never reuse them, even though they may look clean, but just for added measures, I just don't reuse things of that sort. Now, as you can see, this panel is completely clean. I have gloves on, and for that reason, so that oil does not get on the panel. Now we're moving on to our paint here. I'm setting up the Fuji Minimite 5, which I have in this session here. And compared to the 4 that I have, there is a small difference in the amount of pressure that the system is putting out. The 4 carries I believe it's a pressure output of 9, and the 5 is a pressure output of 9.5. And I wouldn't say that it's like night and day, but I do feel the added pressure when it comes to the 5 here. Now, as you can see, the paint that I'm covering the panel with is also a black paint with a light flaky addition to it, which matches the paint of the car here. Now, because this panel has so many small different areas on the large surfaces, I stayed consistent with a overlap of, I'd say, 50%. And just in these small areas, I kind of veered out, only because the positioning of the panel would not allow me to stay consistent with the overlapping. But when you're painting, you want to give extra eye to all of your corners. And because this paint also matches the primer, it makes it a bit more difficult to make sure that all of your surface areas are covered. So it's good to have extra light or anything that you can do to see to it that all of your surfaces are covered. Do not just suggest that you have covered your areas, because when it comes to painting, it's kind of like one of those one-shot deals. Once you've added your paint and you've added your clear, and then after the fact, if you realize that you missed something, it's kind of hard to actually go back and try to correct that. So you want to give an extra eye and just the extra measures to make sure that all of your surfaces are covered. But as you can see, we got 2 coats of paint here. After each coat, I let it sit for, I'd say, 5 minutes. Because of the humidity and the temperature in my garage here, that paint pretty much dried pretty fast. And in between each coat, I thought I'd just take just a watermelon break here, as you can see. Refresh and hydrate myself for the job. Always make sure that you're working comfortable to where you can stay focused. Make sure that you're hydrated, that you have the energy to produce the good job that you're looking to output. But because over time that gun does get heavy in your hand, so you want to make sure that you're nicely prepped for producing the great quality job that you plan to achieve. Also, make it a habit to always double check your work before you move on to the next step. I did add 2 layers of paint, but before each layer, I examined the part to see where I might have had weaker layer coverages than others. But I did stay consistent with the overlapping, but if there were areas that I felt that did not have the same amount of coverage of others, I did give it a small pass through. Now, when it comes to your clear coat is a monster in its own sense, meaning that you can't really cheat it. You have to stay consistent to have a symmetrical clear coat surface. Now, what I come to find, there are some important measures that you have to take heed to and never veer away from, and that is your speed, your distance, your overlapping percent, and you must stay consistent when it comes to adding your clear coat. Now for the specs here, I decided to go with a 1.3 tip for the paint and also the clear, but using 2 separate guns. I have one of the same dedicated for paint and one also for clear. I do have a 0.8 tip, but there's an area in paint where it comes to your artistry, just the person that you are. I believe that with a 1.3 tip or 0.8, you can achieve the same quality job just as much as you can ruin the job. Changing some factors do not make things better for you, but it all comes in the technique of the person at hand. But as you can see here, using the same tip size for both materials, paint and clear, we have a great outcome here. And make sure you guys follow me on Instagram also. Thank you, YouTube.